This right here is another book I found. It's about Bible stories. Basically explains them very simply. It's basically like a teacher teaching the kids in a classroom about all the things in the Bible, but it's very simple and makes it easy to understand. The one I'm going to read is called A Tower to the Sky, which is about the Tower of Babel and how languages came to existence. And they said, "Go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven." Genesis 11:4. This is after the flood and Noah and his ark. Noah and his sons had a fresh new world in which to begin life again. This family was the only one on earth as Adam's family once had been. They made new homes, and after a while, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, each had a big family of his own. I'm not sure how to pronounce those names. Their children grew up and had children of their own. And again, there were many people on the earth before the flood. Everyone had lived near each other. But now they began to scatter around and build their homes in different places all over the earth. God wanted them to move so that one day people would use all parts of the earth for their homes and not just stay in a single spot. That way, a family like Noah's who wanted to do right could move away from the wicked people, the evil people they were living near, and either go off by themselves or move near other godly families. Some of the people moved south from Mount Ararat, I don't know how to pronounce that, where the ark had landed, and lived on a plain in the land of Shinar. This land had the materials for making bricks, and from these bricks the men were able to make strong houses and walls. When they saw that their city was growing to be a strong one, they began to feel very important and said to one another, "Let us build a great tower that will reach up to the sky, and then we will not be scattered about the earth and separated from one another." They set about with energy to build the tower. Some made bricks, some made mortar to hold the bricks together, and others laid them one story above the other. As the tower rose higher and higher, the people felt more and more important and pleased with themselves, which is pride. When God saw the city and tower that the men were building, he was not pleased. He knew that the men were beginning to think less of him and more of their own importance. That's very prideful. Some day they might quit thinking of him altogether and worship the things they were able to make. Besides that, it was not God's plan that all men live close together, as they had before the flood. He knew that once more the wicked could lead the good away from him, and all the world would become wicked again, like before the flood. In order to stop the building of the tower, God caused them to speak different languages. Up until this time, everyone had spoken the same language so that everyone could understand what everyone else said. Now, however, those of one family could not understand their neighbors of another family what they were saying. Those working in the city could not understand what the people had come to sell or buy. Most important, those building the tower could not understand their fellow workers well enough to work together. They left the tower without ever finishing it, and it stayed that way forever. As God had planned, gradually families began moving away to other places around the world where they could be with those whom they could understand. Afterward, the city where the tower was built was named Babel, hence the name Tower of Babel, which means confusion. Surely everyone had been confused or mixed up by the many languages. Much later on it was known as Babylon, and was a great city in that part of the world. We shall hear of Babylon again as we learn of God's people. So to sum this up, people were starting to found these strong materials in the earth's surface and in rocks, and they become very prideful of themselves, which is how Satan got thrown out of heaven, because of his pride. They got so prideful and important of themselves, they started forgetting about the Almighty. So what they did, they started building this great city great walls. They thought they were impenetrable. They couldn't be broken. So they started building a tower to make their way up to heaven, with their pride clouding their mind and blinding them. So as they were building, eventually God saw it. Obviously he could already see it and already know, but when he saw it, he was not pleased. He was displeased with them dishonoring God and forgetting about him. So what he did, he separated and made different languages so it would be confusion. So then the fellow workers that were building on it couldn't communicate with each other or each other's neighbors or families. So they decided to move away from each other because they didn't like that. And the tower was eventually called the Tower of Babel, which Babel, as it says in the story, means confusion. And because it was confusion, because all the languages were different, so it was confusing because people couldn't understand what each other were saying. That was God's punishment for them forgetting about him. I wanted to do this story so people could have the knowledge of how the languages came into existence and why there's different languages like English, Russian, German, Turkish, and all those different languages. I hope you learned something new today. Until next time, God bless.